Okay, so let's start things off. Pixels and plumbing. What are pixels? What is plumbing? All of this stuff we need to know. The first thing that you're going to need to do once you've got your Facebook page is to create a Facebook Ad Manager account. Now, I'm not going to be able to go through the setup steps for that, but if you Google Facebook Ad Manager and you go past the ads and go to the first Google Help Center article, and then you're able to open up your ad manager and you can go through the setup steps, connect your payment method, and do all of that stuff so that what you're basically looking at is a blank kind of dashboard just like mine. You'll see this button here, manage your ads. You can also go to facebook.com/ads/manager. And that takes you through to the ad manager. This is where you run Facebook ads. You'll see something like an ad account. You'll click your name after you've created it, or you go to your business manager. And the first thing that we're going to be doing is putting a pixel on your website. So you'll start by going to the top menu and looking for pixels. Easy. So we click on pixels. And you'll have this menu, create a pixel. Just go through those steps to create your pixel. I'm just going to jump over to my ad manager account so that we can just look at what happens once you've built it. Facebook's obviously being a little bit slow today for me. Okay, so you've got this example here, Vanity Projects pixel. And it won't be tracking any data yet. But either at the end of the creation process or when you have it open from your pixel menu, you'll see a button that's set up, manually install the code yourself. You go past this, and this is your pixel code. So that's your pixel code. What is all this stuff? Why do we need it? What this is going to do is sit on every page of your website, and it's going to allow you to track people that come to your website using Facebook. So you'll be able to use this information on your visitors. So you can see here for the past, let's have a look at 30 days or 28 days. You can see 40,000 page views. So every time somebody visits one of these pages that has our pixel, it tracks page views, it tracks content and all of that. And Facebook won't necessarily tell you who these people are, but it's keeping track of everybody that visits your website, what pages they look at, what they click on, and you can use that to build audiences, which is what we're going to look at next. So installing this on your website is fairly straightforward if you've ever put HTML code in different spots on your website before. If you're using Squarespace, you'll just go into your settings. WordPress is a little bit similar, or you might just want to email it to your website developer if you haven't gone through that process before. But you just want to put it on your site and then double check that it's showing on your website. If you actually download a Chrome plugin called Facebook Pixel Helper, you can load your website, click on the Pixel Helper, and it will tell you that your Facebook pixel is enabled on your site. 1 pixel found. And that's really what we want to do. So we want that absolutely everywhere around your site. The next thing that we're going to need to do is create audiences. So audiences are what you're going to use to actually build your advertising audience. So the first audience that we want to create is a traffic audience. And we'll just go and quickly outline these for you. So we're going to want one, an all traffic audience. The next thing we need is a social audience, and that should be pretty good for now. Then we'll get into lookalikes. So the first thing we're going to do once we've navigated to audiences is click create an audience and custom audience. And we get presented with a bunch of different options. You can see customer file, which is where you could upload a list of emails of your customers, or you could upload your mailing list from MailChimp or something like that to build an audience. But what we're going to want to look at is website traffic. So make sure you've got your pixel selected, any of the following criteria, and then we can have all website visitors in the last 180 days, which is the maximum that it will go back. You'll just name this audience something like website visitors, and that will become basically your most useful audience because it includes a tracked identity of everybody that visits your site. And as you get more traffic, whether it comes from Google or Instagram or anywhere else, it's going to all fall into this and allow you to retarget people to this group. So if you've got that, then you're ready to move on to your social audience. Your social audience is going to be engagement, and then you could either do your Facebook page or your Instagram business profile. If your Instagram business profile is linked to your Facebook account, you're good to go. You'll want to select this option and then do the same thing. Everybody who engaged with your business in the last 365 days. So you'll pick your Instagram account from the list once it's connected, and then you'd call this your social audience. And so that's just like your website traffic audience, except it is 365 days and it's people that have liked your Instagram photos, commented, or viewed your images. So now you've got those two audiences. That's awesome. That's going to be really, really good for you. But the problem is that we actually want to find people who have never been on our website before and have never looked at our Instagram. So the way to do that is to build a lookalike audience. A lookalike audience is where Facebook examines the audience that you've given it. So let's say we've got all the visitors to my website in the last 180 days, and Facebook is tracking every single one of them. It is going to figure out what all of those people have in common. What are they interested in? Where do they live? What's their age? What's their shopping habits? What's their browsing habits? And it doesn't provide you any of this information, but it will just look at 1% of the population in the country that you select and build an audience that most closely resembles that audience. So the way to do that is to go create a new audience, and then you choose lookalike audience instead of custom audience. The source will be your website traffic. So we could say this is mine, Vanity 180, which is everyone who's been on my website in 180 days. You'll pick your country. For me, it's Australia. You can't go any more narrow than that, but that's okay. And then this is your audience size, 166,000. And this will always be the same for Australia. It'll be 3 million for America if it's 1%, but that's what this number here indicates. It's 1% of the country that most closely resembles your chosen audience. You can expand this out if you want to, but there's no harm in just keeping this down at 1. So you go and create that audience, and now you've got a lookalike audience. You can also do the same thing for your social audience, because what you may want to do when we create our campaigns is to actually test the two and see which one does better, because sometimes your Instagram audience might actually be a better indicator of potential clients than your website traffic. But usually it's going to be your website visitors, because they're primarily coming from Google and they have a lot more intent behind their searches. If you had a list of customers or an email list of existing clients or contacts that was maybe a couple of hundred addresses long, then you would probably want to create a custom audience for that as well from a customer file, where you can import from MailChimp, or you can add customers using your own Excel spreadsheet, and then build another lookalike audience from that, so that you've got a lot of options to work with. So now you have your all traffic audience, your social audience, maybe your customer file audience, and then you'll have a lookalike for each of those. And that's all you need there. The final step in the audiences and plumbing, so we've got our pixel, it's on our site, it's working, it'll start generating our audience. We've got our lookalike audiences. The last thing that we need to do is custom conversions. So the best way to do that is actually in the audiences panel. So what we're going to be doing is looking at who has basically done the thing that we want them to do. So here's the thing that I want people to do on my website. I'll just open Nightingale as well so I can demonstrate what the equivalent would be there. If you're on my website and you click on Get a Free Consultation, it takes you to a calendar page where you can book a time to speak to me about your marketing. And that's what I want. That's what I want people to do. That would be the greatest thing ever if people did that. Once they're finished doing that, it takes them to a page where I can find out more about them, so that I'm a little bit more prepared going into that initial call, and I can get a better sense if they're a good fit for me. It takes them to a page with the endline complete survey.html. So as far as I'm concerned, even if they don't fill out this form, they've already converted because I have a time with them. So what we'll do, what's important to do for your website is to create a thank you page and to make sure that whatever you're getting people to do, it redirects from there. So let's have a look at Nightingale. You've got join and you've got purchases. This is going to be our primary goal for our campaign. Are you interested in becoming a future Nightingale resident? That's great. So they click agree, they fill out the form, and then they're ready to go at that point. Once they've completed the form, which will load eventually, just like my form, they're converted at that point, but with Nightingale Housing, they're only converted once they finish this form. So what I would like to see here would be that once they click join the community and they've filled in all their information, it takes them to a page that ends in the word thanks. Just a thank you page. You'll see that a lot. It might be thanks, or it might be confirmation, or whatever it is. Most websites will have this for the reason that they want to track conversions. If your website isn't set up to track conversions, you're not ready to start spending money on marketing or advertising, because you're never going to be able to tell what is working, what isn't, whether you're allocating your budget properly, whether your marketing strategy is working or not. So it's absolutely key that you have a page that people can go to. If you just have a contact page with an email address, you can't track anything. So you definitely want to structure your goal around something like this. In the case of Nightingale, it's a waiting list, which is the best possible structure you could go with. I'm a little bit more short term than that on my website, but that's fine. So now that we know that this is where people get sent once they have finished their survey sign up, we want to go to custom conversions. And we want to create a custom conversion. And make sure that your pixel is selected. And then you'll want to go to all URL traffic, and then we create a rule. URL contains, we put in the keyword. So it would be thanks for Nightingale, for me it's complete survey, whatever it is, and then you name it booked from, so in my case, booked a call. Select a category, it's a lead, value, you don't need to worry about that. So once that's set up, you've got a pixel on your thank you page or your confirmation page. You're ready to start tracking this conversion and measuring the return on investment, basically, or how effectively is your campaign generating these leads. So you've got that. That's absolutely beautiful. What we also want to do is go back to audiences and create an audience of those people. So that's going to be the same process that you use to set up your traffic audience. It's just going to be anybody that visited that particular URL. The only difference is that you need to change one option. So when you go to custom audience, you'll go website traffic. And then rather than saying all website visitors, let's have a look. We don't want that. We want people who visited specific websites, web pages. So we can make this one 180 and URL contains that. And we call this, again, book to call, and maybe 180 days. So we know what the duration is. So we've got it. We know our conversion. It's book a call on my website. For Nightingale, it's join the waitlist, join purchaser form. So we've got now a custom conversion, joined the purchaser form, and we've got a custom audience of people who joined the purchaser form. The reason that we do the two different types of audience and conversion is that the conversion is about us measuring how many conversions we got from our campaign. And the audience is so that we can target people like that and we can actually exclude them from ads. We don't want people who have completed our goal to keep on seeing the ad. So we want to make sure that we can exclude them later. But that's basically it. Those are the steps. So that's pixels and plumbing and audiences. We covered it in 2 videos. So that's beautiful. In 1 video, 2 birds, 1 stone. Love it. So that's what you need to do. This is a very, very technical section. It actually is more technical than you're typically used to. I would recommend, and there's a lot of great resources for Ad Manager on Facebook, just on their own help and support sites. If you just Google Ad Manager, you can see that Facebook has loads of different help, help pages. And if you're confused about anything like custom conversions, you can just look at that stuff and get a sense of those documents. What are custom conversions and how do I use them? But luckily with this video, you can go back, you can copy the steps as I've followed them, and you can also send me a question if you've got any problems with this section.